Is it possible to help your clients to heal trauma through a conversation without re-traumatizing them? Well, the quick answer to that is absolutely yes. But Fritz, I have heard that you can't heal trauma by talking about it. Yes, that is true. And through a conversation, it has to be very strategic. How you help your clients through this is through a conversation that involves going through the difference between implicit versus explicit memories. Here's what I mean by that. If you've been trained in traditional hypnosis practices, or if you have learned, someone has told you, or you've learned from somewhere that in order for you to break your beliefs, you then have to link it back to a memory. Have you heard of that? Comment below yes if you have heard of that. That's not actually completely true if you want fast results and if you want to make sure that your clients don't get re-traumatized. The thing with traditional hypnosis trainings and practices, especially the ones who train regression, hypnotic regression, is that some of them don't actually train their students properly and end up re-traumatizing their clients unknowingly, right? Because they just weren't taught how to do better. The school that I went to get my training was like that. They trained regular people to use regression practices and open up trauma for their clients without even giving them an abreaction protocol and really not knowing what comes up when really gory, gnarly scenes from the past came up. You don't need that. What that works on is explicit memory. And that is the type of conversation, if that practitioner is not trained, is potentially going to do more harm than good. And that is absolutely not fucking necessary. And so, what the difference is, if you don't know yet, the difference between implicit and explicit memory is this: an explicit memory is a memory of a scene in the past, right? A traditional memory. So that would be the very first time you riding a car. You have a distinct memory of that, right? That first time you drove a car. That is something that you could probably just pull up right now. So that is an explicit memory. But an implicit memory is the type of memory that is habitual, that is implicit, that is behavioral, meaning the memories you have with regards to driving a car, right? So you being able to get in a car and just know how to drive, that is your implicit memory in action. Okay, why the fuck is this important? This is important because if you want to help clients heal trauma without re-traumatization, specifically having a conversation with them, your target is not going to be the explicit memories, like the memory of them getting bullied and peeing their pants in, you know, age 6. That is explicit memory. That is traditional regression that causes re-traumatization to clients if the practitioner is not fully trained. We don't want that shit, right? And like I said, it's absolutely unfucking necessary. And the other side, if you want really, really good results, is a process and a method that I teach inside my trainings called somatic processing, where you're helping your clients deal with the implicit memory. How is it that their trauma from the past is affecting them at the present moment based on the problem that they came to you for? So maybe it is a client who just wants to stop emotionally eating, and maybe it was because they were bullied and pee their pants at age 6 that they were able to do that. But that's not just the only, again, not the only reason why they are emotionally eating, right? There's many, many different ways. So instead of focusing on 1 to 3 or 5 memories that you want to regress your client to, instead of going through those gnarly scenes and re-traumatizing that and talking about the event itself, what I teach my students instead is to help with the implicit memories of it. We don't even do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go back to a scene, place, and time where you felt click, 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 that you were not good enough. It's not that. It is having a conversation and noticing our clients' body language and somatic expressions to help them place their attention on that and eventually resolve their problem on their own. It is a full strategy. This is where we spend a lot of attention on, especially if a client presents somatic information to us. Why? Because this is a skill set that is not just going to be learned from a 5 to 10 minute video, right? This is something that you need actual real training on in order for you to be a master at it. I actually do not feel comfortable teaching people this randomly because I know that that can fuck things up. So that's why I only teach this in a setting where we get to have support for our students and have the ab reaction protocol inside the trainings. And so in a nutshell, what this will look like is that your client comes to you, and maybe it is because they want to stop emotionally eating, and maybe they do have trauma in the past. And based on your conversation, what I train my practitioners is to notice what information the clients are giving them is conscious versus unconscious. And part of that unconscious part is specifically one part somatic processing. So if a client mentions any bodily sensations that are linked to the presenting problem, maybe a client says that my gut feels like empty. That's why I feel the need to eat and fill it up, right? That is an example of somatic processing. And it is through teaching my students to strategically place attention on those somatic expressions and help them heal that way is the way that I help my students to heal clients' trauma without re-traumatization, because we do not need to talk about the gnarly things. We don't need to talk about the different memories, like explicit memories. We are all about changing that habitual pattern of trauma, right? Of maybe this emptiness is making that client just shut down from the world and not connect with others. So that is like that habitual behavior of not wanting to connect with others and emotionally eat instead. That is what we help our clients with. And so yes, it is definitely possible, only if you do have the skill set and know exactly what it takes. I get arguments about this because some people are, because it is true where you can't, speaking about the trauma actually just makes it worse. Like if you actually speak about the event itself, and getting lost in the details of that event can do more harm than good, especially with the untrained. Whereas going through the somatic sensation in their gut of that feeling of emptiness and hollowness, that is what's going to help release that trauma that has been stuck in their bodies for that long, which is a lot more powerful. So if you have any questions regarding this process at all, comment below somatic processing, and I can have a conversation with you with regards to this and where you want to take this. But otherwise, if you have any questions regarding this, feel free to still comment below or message me. I am very much happy to have a conversation with you about this. And otherwise, I will see you around.